remember my first crush. Her name was Crystal. Well, actually my second crush was named Crystal too, but this is about the first. And although a crystal is not a gemstone, at the time, I thought she was as rare as they came. And at first sight, I set off on a quest for treasures, just hoping I'd become rich in the spoils of her love. She was in high school, and I say that because at the time, I was still in junior high, but I thought the little peach fuzz I had coming in was enough to get me a shot. I had met her in September when she moved into the building down the street. It wasn't until that summer that she actually paid me any attention. The neighborhood was quiet that day. It had been a lot of turmoil between the guys on my block and the dudes from around the way. But after a few days of rain, the sun was shining again and I was out on the porch. I saw Crystal approaching, so I was preparing something cool to say to get her to smile as she walked by. To my dismay, she wasn't walking by, she was walking up to me. She said,
"Hey, wanna walk to Bobby's with me?"
And I was like, yeah, but I should have said no. Mostly because I hadn't been to Bobby's in a while. Because even though I really wasn't one of the guys from my block, now that I was a little older, the dudes from around the way sure thought I was, and they usually hung out in front of Bobby's. I was really digging Crystal though, and at that moment, X had marked the spot, and I had arrived with a golden shovel. As we walked, I got to know her better, and even though Mama hated my jokes, I had Crystal slapping her knee like an African drum. She was starting to like me, and all I could think about was getting to her buried treasure. But now we were walking into Bobby's, and the coast was clear. When we first stepped inside, she walked to the counter, and I stepped to the wall and waited. As she began to make her order, the door opened, and it was one of the dudes from around the way. He looked dead at me, but he turned away quickly and began to look around the store. After a minute, he just walked out. So maybe I was wrong, and I could just be an innocent kid on the quest for love. But not even a half second later, another dude walked in and did the exact same thing. Before I had time to worry, Crystal walked up to me, gazing into my eyes with a golden glare, as if I now had the treasure chest wide open. She got her order, and we walked out to what now looked like Dude City. So I kept it inconspicuous and did my best to expedite the trip home. But just as we made it through the crowd of dudes, I heard one yell out, "Ain't you one of the guys from the block?" And before I had time to litigate their claim properly, I was on my way to the ground, eventually getting pummeled. An old lady had came out yelling and they ran off.
"Y'all better leave that boy alone or I'm calling the police."
But by then I had already been embroidered into the sidewalk. I'm not sure if Crystal ran for help or for her own safety, but I slowly picked myself up and walked home alone. I wasn't bruised bad, but I sure felt like it, and my tooth had been chipped from hitting the ground. Crystal was my first crush, but not my last. And even though at the time she seemed rare, I eventually found a many crystals, a many places with many different purposes. But one thing I'll always remember is that a crystal is not a gemstone.